remind you right now that next month's meeting is on March the 12th, same day as today, a month later. We will have several topics there too. They're not all nailed down yet. We do need a vendor presentation, and we do not have a layout presentation this time, but we have other things in our bag of tricks. We will have a full program for you next month as well. The first thing we're going to talk about is I'm going to talk a little bit about video and layout tours and how you would do a layout tour video. I did a video on this channel on ZoomTRAK about 4 months ago. I did it as with my iPhone, and I ran about 12 minutes straight, ad-libbing the talk as I did my layout. Showed everyone my layout, and it went over fairly well. In fact, when we get these things done, all of the ZoomTRAKs are posted, and the layout tours are also posted as such on our ZoomTRAK on our channel on the on YouTube. My presentation after in 3 months had over 7,200 views, which is pretty good. And some other ones, like some of my early ones I didn't get hardly any. There are two reasons for that, I think. One is the connection with ZoomTRAK that gets people a chance to know that it's out there and go see it. And the second, I hope, is partly because of the presentation. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about what I think a layout video tour should include. They are my opinions and my opinions only, and they may or may not be the opinions of anyone else. But from the success of my video, maybe I'm onto something, maybe I'm not. So with that intro, let me talk about what I think you should strive to put in a layout tour. First of all, it shouldn't be too long, 10 to 15 minutes. After that, you lose people. The first thing you want to do is to introduce what your layout is. Where is it physically located? How big is it? In the basement? Is it in the garage? Is it in a bedroom? What size a layout is? What scale is it? The elevation, levels? Is it a modern area, transition specific to a certain place or time? Is it prototype strictly, or loose prototype, or freelance, or proto-freelance? A general description of the layout. It's in Kankakee, Illinois, and it's the Illinois Central between Chicago and St. Louis. Just generally, what is your layout about? And then talk about the style. Is it modular, fixed benchwork, tabletop, T-TRAK, N-TRAK, or something entirely different? What is the concept of your layout? Is it operations oriented, or is it one where you can just sit back, relax, and run your train around the layout? What kind of style is your layout? Is it a point-to-point, a loop, a dog bone, a figure eight? These are all pieces of information that people want to know. The key thing, I think, is, to me, that putting a camera on a flat car in front of an engine and run around the layout gets me confused and lost, and I don't know where the hell it is. You can loop around, come back on yourself, and you don't know where you are. You don't have any peripheral vision, and it leaves me wanting. I guess the good thing is it leaves me wanting more, because I didn't get to see what I wanted to see, and I didn't get the big picture of the thing. So that's why I'm suggesting these things. I think the spoken part of a presentation is as much, if not more important than the video, but both really help put the show over. After you get all this preliminary stuff done, including details like your track and turnouts and grades and staging, and how far along are you in getting completing, The next thing, why did you build your layout? What was the motivation behind it? If there's something, is it childhood memories where you were raised, or just something you really liked, or a friend had it? What's going on? Talk about your power systems, what you have, what makes the thing go. And then after you get all that preliminary stuff, then you get into the real details, the features, where it's show me the layout. And there you want to show what the layout looks like, or the entire space, how it fits, how it fits in the room, and then the details, where the track, what is, big picture there, and then a layout diagram is always nice to see, to again help get someone oriented. If your layout is operations oriented, talk about the operations, the crew size, the traffic control, whether you use a dispatcher or a timetable and train orders, or just yard limits. How do you have your car control? Do you have car forwarding with switch list, car cards, or just you go here, if you've had one there, you pull it and spot one just like it? What works for you? If you have jobs, how many? Tell us about the jobs on your layout, what they are and who does them. And how long is your session? And then I think finally, the thing people want to know is, okay, now you show me what you got. What are you going to do next? Are you incomplete? You're going to finish certain areas? You're going to expand it? You're going to rework an area? You're going to tear it down and start over because that was done? You're bored? You want to try something new? Or are you through? You're done? I'm going to just sit back and enjoy it. I think all these points are just general things, and all of them are important, and some to you are more important than to others, and you got to find out what works for you. But also the key thing is to make it enticing to your audience. So that's my thoughts on it. Again, they're my thoughts only, and I don't intend or plan to speak to anybody as that's the way it should be. It's just the way I like it. So that's it. Let me get this knocked down. Our next deal is Terry Moore, who is going to do his monthly Talkin T-TRAK blog. Terry, are you ready to go?
Okay, and away we go. It's always best to find problems before they become part of the layout. This little wooden box became a T-TRAK module test. Roland Minshall's T-TRAK module wiring tester article in the May-June of 2019 of the Nrail newsletter made me think I should be able to create something similar without the 21st century technology. Now, I've played with batteries, switches, light bulbs since I was a kid, but I let this possible endeavor die. I didn't need a tester. Then Paul Musselman rekindled my interest with his What's an LED article in the March-April 2021 newsletter. In short, he introduced me to bipolar LEDs. They're about as high-tech as I get, but they were just perfect for this project. Back on the back burner again. Andy Zimmerman pushed me over the edge with his T-TRAK module tester article in the November-December newsletter issue. I don't know if you would call this analog, but it's definitely not digital. Maybe it's just old-fashioned. The parts list, well, that'd be this stuff. A battery box and leads with a couple of AA batteries. Now, larger C-cell batteries could be used for more electrical capacity, in other words, a longer battery life, or other forms of batteries as desired. But AA batteries are very readily available, including rechargeable versions, and the electrical load of this tester is minute, so battery life is not an issue. So, the parts list consists of 2 momentary push button switches. Those are switches where you push them to turn them on, and you just take your finger off the button and they go back off. A piece of 124mm cathode double track, and it also checks the module track spacing. Now, the length of that piece of track is optional depending on what you build. You need 2 cathode terminal unit joiners. You need 2 cathode 3-way extension cords, one 270 k ohm resistor. Now that depends on the voltage and the LEDs. So depending on what you have for LEDs, you may have to change those that resistance setting. Two LED diffuser lenses, which also help mount the LEDs. Two 5mm bipolar red-green LEDs, and two TRAK bumpers. Now those are optional. They just protect the unijoiner power connectors underneath. And of course, an enclosure of your choice. This is the wiring diagram. Since the wiring on Caddo parts is blue and white, I used blue and white in the diagram rather than the usual red for positive and black for negative. So we'll start building. Now, the first thing is we're making things easier here. The pointy things on the three-way extension cord sockets that hold attached cables in place were removed to make connection and disconnection of the module cords to the tester easier. Sometimes those things can be a pain. The three-way extension cords were chosen for ease of mounting to the tester. This way, the only cables used are the ones supplied by the module under test to connect to the layout power bus. No extra cabling or anything like that is required. To ease tester track attachment and removal, the locking horns on the unijoiners were removed as shown, and the nubs on the unijoiner sockets were trimmed to keep the module unijoiners from locking in. The best way to relate to a module is with a module. So the tester was based on a mini module, the little wooden box. The tester sits on the table with an unraised module for testing, slides right up to it, connects to the track just like any other module. The power cables from the module being tested connect to the plugs on the tester. Let the testing begin. The handle is simply an easy way to carry the tester, like a small lunch pail. Any of the three plugs per track can be used. The track buffers are for appearance and to protect the terminal unijoiners under them. The little wooden box mini module enclosure was a natural, with lots of module materials left over after building almost 24 modules last summer. Okay. Materials for the testing demonstration. A module. In this case, one of my favorite Saskatchewan wheat fields, with access to the module's power feeders hanging out from underneath. The tester, and a modified Caddo DC extension cord with the black tape marker is one of my reverser cables used in series with the module's yellow track power feeder to create a blue-white electrical connection. Sometimes changing the bus is not the plan, so each individual module gets a little reverser cable as required. For this test, the module is connected to the tester properly, red to red and yellow to yellow. Photography washes out the little lights, so I have put in some colored dots. On the left, the yellow test shows a green light, and on the right, the red test also shows a green light, indicating that this module is properly wired and ready for inclusion in the layout. In this demonstration, I have inserted one of my adapter cables into the yellow track wiring, creating a blue-white situation. On the left, the yellow test shows a red light, indicating incorrect wiring. On the right, the red test shows a green light, indicating correct wiring. If the module was mistakenly wired white, blue, blue, white due to a misunderstanding of the blue, white, white, blue standard, the red test would also show a red light. For this demonstration, you can see that the module under test has had its cables incorrectly connected to the tester. You can see the yellow cable into the red socket and similarly the red cable into the yellow socket. The module is connected red to yellow and yellow to red to simulate a module which has its cables incorrectly color-coded. And I know, yeah, it happens. On the left, a yellow test shows a green light. On the red side, pardon me. I'll start that again. On the left, the yellow test shows a green light on the red side. On the right, a red test shows a green light on the yellow side, indicating the incorrectly connected cables. Change the color coding on the cables, connect them properly according to the corrected color coding, and all will be well. Now, designed for the right end only? No, not really. But, well, maybe only because of the painted color markings. Thanks to the thanks to the blue, white, white, blue wiring standard, it doesn't matter which end the tester is connected to, except that the color coding will be wrong. So if the tester must be connected to the module's left end, red is yellow and yellow is red. Plug the module's red cable into the tester's yellow socket and the yellow cable into the red. Pressing the yellow button will give a light for the red track and the red button for the yellow track. But why would you want to connect to the left end? If a module has a double crossover, it effectively cuts the module in half, requiring a power source from each end. So it's best to have power connections at each end, or if a junction has power connections to each of the 3 tracks, or depending on however your module might be built. In a layout, you can do more than just simply test single modules. Several modules connected together can also be tested together. Here, 2 modules, again, my wheat fields, are connected together with their power cables accessible. Why 3 sets of cables? Remember what I said about modules with double crossovers? The module closest has power feeders at both ends due to the crossover. Oh, and why didn't I splice the 2 feeders together? Because I don't mess with the wiring any more than I need to. Most times I wouldn't use the farthest feeder of the 2 because the feeders of the far wheat field would be used instead. With both tracks wired to a single bus, such as a single row spine between 2 loops, which would normally be part of the red line, the bus is connected to the tester's red socket in this demonstration. Pressing the button results in an indication on both tracks. If the modules were wired blue, white, the yellow indication would be red. And of course, the red indication would be green, the red track. If only one module was incorrectly wired, one or both indications would be off, no lights at all, indicating a short, depending on the nature of the problem. This would also hold true for a where are we? This would also hold, okay, I'm all messed up. If only one module was incorrectly wired, one or both indications would be off, indicating a short, depending on the nature of the problem. This would also hold true for a classic T-TRAK loop with only one power source supplying the loop with 1 train per track running in opposite directions. Testing multiple modules connected together gives the same testing result indications as testing singles, except that a single blue-white module would create a short circuit in the yellow loop, resulting in no light indication. In the examples here, there is a reverser cable in series with the yellow bus at the tester socket. Note the black identifier. resulting in a red light test indication. Just what we wanted for a blue-white loop layout. A simple sectionalizing procedure of testing bad groups of modules, one half of the group at a time, will eventually identify the problematic module without totally dismantling the layout. Remember, if the problematic group of modules is found in the first group tested, the second group must also be tested and proven to be good and not hiding a second problem. Remember, if you don't get a light, do not hold the button down. You have a dead short. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Terry. I think that's something we'll all have to think about. It sounds a lot, it probably sounds more complicated than it is, but it's a great tool. And thank you for sharing that with us. Okay, our next person up is J.M. Gadoury, who's going to talk a little bit about video clips. J.M., you ready to go?
I am. Let's go ahead and share the screen here. Okay, I guess we'll start right here. Excellent. So this is going to be a quick short. In fact, I'm going to hit my stopwatch here just to make sure we don't go beyond our 10 minutes. I've been told I'm not so good at keeping to 10 minutes, so I got the stopwatch going. And I'm excited to tell you about ZoomTRAK. The Nrail Video Spotlight is what we're spotlighting right now. And this, what's new in 2022? Well, right now we're looking at the splash page for the Nrail YouTube channel. This is a YouTube channel that features Nrail N-scale model railroading. And I have added for us a brand new Welcome to Nrail video. It is a video that was produced last year for the World's Greatest Hobby on Tour. And it does include, which we'll see at the very end of this presentation, some clips from the history of N-TRAK and Nrail itself. But one of the other things that we're going to feature is a cleaned up playlist. Right now, the playlists have been now called Nrail Features, and we have N-TRAK, T-TRAK, Fremo N, ZoomTRAK Archive, our Nrail Club Introductions, and an instructional library. All right, we're going to move to the next slide. So what are the latest videos? Well, I'm excited that if you were keeping track of the Nrail channel this week, in fact, if you subscribed, you probably got an email that alerted you to new videos. One of which, of course, was our January 2022 ZoomTRAK, and that was issued on Wednesday of this week. It's typically issued on the Wednesday right before the next ZoomTRAK session. We also included a video from Steve Jackson. He provided us a training on module wiring and answering some of the problematic questions that we frequently receive relative to wiring. And also this week, we just added today, glad to see Eric Seidelman and the New Jersey Southern guys on earlier today live from a train show. Well, this was a video that New Jersey Southern produced from the West Springfield Winterfest train show. And we just put that onto our shows and conventions playlist that is in a different section of the channel, but it's fantastic to watch nonetheless. Lots of real core N-TRAK and Fremo N videos in that section. All right, next we have the videos at nrail.org. That is the email that you contact to have a conversation with me and with the leadership of Nrail about what videos you'd like to add. Obviously, last month we did a ZoomTRAK snapshot topic entitled Quick and Easy Video Production. And we showed everybody how to present how to actually build in post-production a video out of a bunch of video clips that you've got. Razor gave us a great example of the types of video snippets that you might want to have available to do a layout tour. And we showed you last month how to take those snippets, put them all together into a really clean layout tour video. And we'll probably feature more of those examples in the very near future. We also did a ZoomTRAK last quarter in which we featured Video Making the Nrail Star with interviews with Ken Richter and Stone Sitzman, showing us how they took their videos and ways to answer the question, why? What's the purpose of a video? What are you wanting to accomplish? And who are you wanting to attract with your video? All right. Next, the next thing that's new in 2022 is the ZoomTRAK index. This index has not yet been published to my knowledge, but it soon will be on the publications section of nrail.org website. And just to zoom in a little closer here, inside the index, what we've done is we've identified all of the topics, whether they were a snapshot 10-minute topic or a long 30-minute in-depth topic, or the manufacturer showcase or the layout tours. We've separated those onto separate pages in the index, and we created a separate hyperlink for YouTube where you can just click one link and be taken directly to that video. And I can't tell you that when it comes to building out the video content for our YouTube channel, having those independent links is going to help us fill out the content very rapidly on the channel. Anybody who's coming to N-scale railroading for the first time and they start their journey at our YouTube channel, they're going to be able to click on all of these links and have that information at their fingertips. Okay, and then finally, the new welcome video, and let's watch it, and then we'll be done. Welcome to Nrail. In 1973, by 1 to 160 N-scale model railroading, Nrail standards and a newsletter emerged. The purpose of Nrail is to promote all N-scale standards, maximizing your modeling space, perfectly portable, family-friendly, and ADA accessible. Modules blend into large train shows, club layouts, and even your home display. Both novices and experts all qualify by following step-by-step manuals, interconnecting with others, and running a giant N-scale railroad. Nrail layouts combine personally crafted scenery animated by trains while building friendships and community, fueled by everything N-scale represents. For details about Nrail modular standards, videos, local shows, and N-scale clubs, start here. Join Nrail today and download resources at the store. All aboard! All aboard indeed. So I'm going to stop share right there. And Razor, with 5 minutes and 52 seconds down, we're back to you.
Thank you very much, JM. I appreciate you watching the clock. And
Okay.
we're right on time. We've had 3 10-minute presentations, and we're now at half past the hour. So,
Razor,
yes.
just to interrupt for a second, I'm going to do one quick screen share here because, in fact, the page that JM was talking about is right here on the home page now. And if you click on the link, the index link, up will come the ZoomTRAK index. And all you have to do is click on one of these and it will take you to the appropriate YouTube segment.
That's great.
So it's up there on the members section. You have to be a member, you have to log in, and we've done a little bit of formatting so it's easier to get to, but it's out there. Okay.
Thank you, Bruce. All right. Next up is our vendor presentation for this month. Brett Isaacs has a company called Baldylox Designs, and that's all I'm really going to say about that. Brett, can you give us about 10 minutes worth, please?
I think I can. I too will start a clock because I might tend to carry on. So here we go. Gentlemen, hello. My name is Brett Isaacs. I am the, I guess, the owner of Baldylox Designs. A little bit about myself. I've been a model railroader for about 35 years, started when I was a kid, then HL, moved on to N-scale in high school, took some time off in college because of college, and have been around the globe quite a bit, been a part of a lot of different clubs. Most recently, before I moved to Minnesota, where I'm at now, I was a member of ZoomTRAK out of Austin, Texas, and became good friends with Bruce Arbo, which I'm sure many people here know very well. Now I'm a member of the GRBS up in Minnesota, and we do N-TRAK, T-TRAK, and we visit a lot of area locations. So that's me. So a little bit about my business. About 10 years ago, I was disappointed, like many folks are, that you were not able to find products on the market that you may want to have, or you contact a manufacturer and they're like, oh, that's way out of our scope. We will never create that. It's not that we want to do. Okay, what are you going to do? You got to learn how to do things yourself. I took it upon myself to start learning 3D design. I started out with the program SketchUp, which I still use today. It was free at the time. That has allowed me to start making creations for myself. I would put those up on Shapeways, which I'm sure people have heard about as well. It's a great little company that, well, I won't say great. It was a great little company who's now gotten really big. Was a great source for you to put your models out, get them printed before home printing became a big reality. Through that process, people started to recognize some of my prints. People are asking me if I would put things up for them to capture, to print, do some designs for them. What better way to push yourself than to do things for other folks? So I started doing that, which led me to where we are now. I'll share my screen and go through a few things here. So this is my Facebook page. This is what you all see when you would log in. Whoa, I don't need to log in right now. Basically what we have here, just a simple news page. I use this to keep the community updated on what I'm working on, projects that are coming out. You can see, I don't know what that's all about. Well, anyway, so there's something wrong with that, but I'll put the links up for my pages here in a second. My business page that I run through is here at Baldylox Designs on Etsy. I currently have, I think, around 200 products or so available. I would say over half of them are things that I've wanted for myself. The other half I have created for members of the community out there who have requested things. Recently was allowed to start printing products for Mike Besco, who runs Steamineering 3D design. He does a lot of the UP passenger cars and various other things. So you can find those on my page now. Lots of stuff here. Airplane plant transportation parts. We do custom shells. So here you can see some SD45 2-Bs, 40B-2 from BM. That's really cool. The NS Slug out there, the 890, 891s, which look really good when printed. There's an example right there. A lot of good detail. Modern printers have really changed things for the home user. I do a lot of farming, intermodal. You know, Jordan spreaders are one of my favorite things to do. Those of you that are fans of Donner Pass might recognize that. I want to give a quick shout out to Mr. Ken Harstein that I ran into at Amherst. He had entered one of my models into the that he customized and made into one of the flangers that we have. And he had that up in the model contest at Amherst, and he took second place. So again, Ken, it was nice talking to you. Thank you again for purchasing the products. I'm glad that you were able to do so well with your project there. I guess a little bit more about how the business works is Lee last month did a great presentation on 3D printing. I'll give a quick little thing of how I do. SketchUp is what I currently work with. This is an NS camp car recently released by Microtrains and a kit. And those of you who purchased that kit might be a little disappointed on what the camp cars looked like and how they felt and were very terribly printed. So here is an example of one of those cars that they might have used for research. This is what I was using for research. Quick little design. It's basically a box, yada, yada. So this is how I would do the design side of the business for anybody who comes to me for design work. From there, I want to make sure this stuff is printable. I would export this file into a program I use called NetFab. NetFab allows me to run a repair program to make sure that the model is solid. If the model is not solid, it's not going to print. You're going to have errors, you're going to have problems, you're going to pull all your hair out. So from here, we get a nice little model. We export that model. We go into the Lychee program, which is what I use for slicing. And you bring your model in, looks like this. And then as a quick reference, I have gone ahead and thrown some supports on one. This is just auto supports, but this is what you get when before it goes into the printer. So if anybody remembers last month's video with Lee, if not, go watch the video that was posted here recently on the YouTube channel, and you can see his printers. I use basically the same equipment, just a little bit of a higher end model. Mine's the Mono X, and you will get, this is what you will get. From there, then it's all about just having some fun. You got to make decals, right? Can't have cars without decals. Nobody makes an EC5 at N scale. Well, I should say that we will have an EC5 geometry car now in N scale, hopefully in the next month. So this is a very high detail model. This is what keeps me busy. This is the stuff that drives me and keeps me want to keep doing what I do. And then from there, let me switch over. I'm going to unshare this. I'm going to switch over to my phone real fast just to show you some actual nice quality printed models. If I can remember how to do this. Razor, are you able to stop me sharing? Oh, never mind. There's the button. I got it. And we'll switch over, share screen, switch to camera. I'm not as proficient as JM. Let's go there. There we go. Okay, so here's just some recent prints that I've gotten off the machine. This would be, anybody familiar with Relco, or now Wabtec, out of Albia, Iowa. This would be the new lead engine for their weed spraying tray, the vegetation train as they call it. So you can see we get a lot of good detail in here on a print these days, maybe if you had a better camera. Here's a fun little item. Those of you also who like to donner patched up, I created some icicle breakers thrown on a Jeep. People often ask you, how small can you print or how fine can you print an inch scale? That's pretty fine if you ask me. I think those little bars in there are, I think I did those at 0.4, 0.3 millimeter, pretty tiny. Another fun one, people have seen the Grex Herzogs around for decades and decades. Here's a quick little view of how well these prints come out. This one's actually been primered, so you can see the detail a lot better. I like to print my models with see-through fans. Nice little extra thing. It is the Olympics right now, correct? So how about the 2001 Cauldron car? Missing a few pieces at the moment. That's the basic idea. Those of you who are a fan of UP excursions, super detailed bottom of the 9336. This has also been primered and painted a little bit. That kind of tells you what we can do with 3D printing right there. Some pretty nice detail. And then last but not least, what I got started in was farming. Little baler, little combine. This one's set up to be on a flat load eventually. But that's about all I got, guys. I will throw up a link here. I will give anybody for the next week who wants to check out some of my products, I will give you 20% off. All you got to do is click the link and you'll be able to see if I have anything you like or not. If not, you can tell me. If you do, you can tell me also. I always appreciate if people share their products once you've gotten them and get them painted so I can see how things are going out there. Whoop. Going out there in the what I call the field. So throw that in the chats. 56 seconds to go, Razor. How's that?
That's very good. Thank you,
guys. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it. Hit me up anytime. Usually through Facebook Messenger is best. And then, yeah, that's all I got. All you.
Okay. Just one reminder as we're finishing our stretch. We are now only about 4 months out from the NSE convention in Nashville coming up this summer. There have been a lot of people that have already sent in their applications to join the T-TRAK, large T-TRAK layout that we're going to have up there. And the team is working on that to get all these modules placed. We are got everything lined up for the N-TRAK layout. There's going to be a bend track layout, and there's going to be a Fremo layout. So it looks like there's going to be
a T-TRAK layout.
Pardon me?
And a T-TRAK layout.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I didn't mean, I thought I said that earlier, but yeah, the T-TRAK layout, the N-TRAK layout, the bend track layout, and the Fremo layout. Okay. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to see and look at in addition to all the regular events at the NSE convention. We'll talk more about that next month. Guido Bonelli is going to tell us about technical stuff that's beyond my comprehension. Now, Guido, are you here? Are you joined the thing yet?
Yeah, I'm here. Hi, everybody.
Okay, good. Okay, so if everybody's ready to go, Guido, why don't you take it away and tell us what you got?
Sure. Hi, everybody. First off, thanks so much for having me on. I greatly appreciate it. My name, again, is Guido Bonelli, and I invented a product for the Arduino ecosystem, specifically for model railroaders. And I want to show you the kit and what it does and kind of take a real deep dive into behind the covers. So I'm gonna share my screen. I'm gonna share a couple of different things with you guys. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes, very good.
Great. So just a quick little bit of background on myself. So I'm a retired electrical engineer. I was a director of embedded systems for a little bit over 17 years or so. And last September, I decided to take the leap of faith and go into what I love most, which is creating Arduino type projects. This one is something which I call Goonie Box, which was featured by Apple. It was my largest Arduino build ever. If you guys are into like escape room kind of things, this is very similar to that, but it's just something that I have in my home. The other thing which I really love to kind of tinker with is, as a child, I was really into model railroad. And I remember, that was in the 80s-ish. I'm kind of dating myself here a little bit, but I remember not really being able to do what I wanted, right? So I wanted to add cool lighting effects. I wanted cool sound effects. I wanted to automate my turnouts. But back then, I had no idea how to do that. And, fast forward a bunch of years, I began to look around for, hey, I want to do this again. I wanted to add a train around the bottom of my Christmas tree. And I just remember thinking, wow, there's still kind of nothing here for this. I had seen a bunch of modules, some DCC stuff, but it kind of wasn't what I wanted. And my background, again, I'm an electrical engineer. I've done a lot of programming and microcontrollers. And so it was just a very natural extension for me to create something which is based on the Arduino ecosystem. I'm just curious, I'm sure that everybody's maybe messed around with Arduino, or not so much? Yeah, a little bit. Okay, that's cool. So this is all of the things that I just described is very, very possible, and then some. And specifically something which I kind of coined scene controlling, and I'm sure that this exists already, but let me show you what that really means. So I already had all of the Arduino parts, but the thought of building it like this, and I'm sure that everybody's very familiar with, the breadboard tactic, the thought of building it like this was just not attractive to me. And I wanted an easier way of developing the sound, the lighting control, the turnout control in an easier way. So I had developed this kit that you see here. This is called the Dr. Duino Explorer. And it's for the Arduino Uno and any nano compatible board. Now that's over here. And I know sometimes the programming might seem a little bit scary, but the benefit of working in the Arduino ecosystem is that the programming is so incredibly simple. I've designed everything from simple blinking lights to complicated medical equipment. And this, the Arduino language is so simple. It works in Linux, it works in Windows, it works in Mac, albeit the easiest is working in a Windows type environment. So the Dr. Duino Explorer is actually 4 different kits in one. It's a learning kit, which is great for people who are just getting started out. It's a simulator. It's actually how I was able to create the Model Railroad Edition. I'm going to show you a depot that I came up with, which is all being controlled by just this. It's a test fixture, which allows you, as you really start to develop stuff, sometimes you have to be able to quickly access all of the pins that this microcontroller, this little thing here in the middle, you want to sometimes be able to measure what's happening. So it breaks all of these out. And then it's a debugger, which helps you identify very quickly if you have a hardware problem, or meaning wiring, or if you have a code problem. And that's there's just these jumpers all around the board here. So this was finally kind of my realization of bringing my childhood dreams to life, right? This is a depot that I had built, which is specifically controlled. It's controlling a bunch of accessories inside of my model rail layout. Now, this is just a demo, but I want to show you kind of the behind the scenes. One of the things which was really important to me is I wanted to add a lot of lights. And there are these things. Has anybody seen this type of LED? If not, these are super cool. These are intelligent LEDs. With just 3 wires, you can control thousands of these things. Now, you have to have enough power, but that's a totally different subject. But 3 wires allows you to kind of daisy chain these guys together and sprinkle them around your setup however you wish. And they can actually create up to 16 million different colors, which is really pretty neat. One of the things that I thought was cool was to kind of have, you know, maybe a window, and I'm going to show you a cool graphic in a second, maybe a window inside of a building kind of flicker, simulating a fire pit, which I thought was kind of neat. Now, this is, I hope this is going to run. It's a little bit choppy. I hope you guys can see that, but this is showing the different colors that it can do. It can do everything from, you know, just a white all the way over to, you know, 16 million different colors, which is really pretty cool. The next thing that was really important to me is I wanted to add some realistic sound. So this is a mini MP3 player. It takes an SD card that you just insert over here, and you can load that SD card with however many sounds you want, and that's the beauty of it. There are really no limits to it, which is pretty amazing. So when I did this, I wanted kind of your stereotypical sound. So I wanted the sound of the conductor saying all aboard. I wanted just the train tracks, just the whistle of the train. And then I wanted a combination of the track and the whistle and a railroad crossing sound. So the kit that I put together actually comes with all of these sounds, and you provide your own SD card. But when you load it on an SD card and you plug it into this little module, those sounds will play on based on a very specific series of events. And I'm going to show you that. Now, my stuff, I didn't have turnouts that were that had any sort of electronic control. So my stuff was still very old. So it just was connecting any type of servo. These are micro servos, which are very common in the Arduino ecosystem. I was able to control this when I want. And you see, this is certainly you would want to bury this. This is not a nice looking approach to it, but it's just to give the visual of this is how it works. But this is where things really get cool. This is what I call the scene controller. And this is a block, it's known as a block sensor. And you'll notice that as the train passes this block sensor, this LED comes on. And what that is actually doing is it's sending a signal all the way down to the Duino Explorer. And the Duino Explorer is listening for that signal to say, oh, there's a train there. I need to do X, Y, or Z. Oh, and by the way, this is actually, you can adjust this, the distance, how far or close that you are with this potentiometer that's sitting on the top. So I just want to show you what the actual kit looks like. The Model Railroad Edition actually comes in two pieces. The first piece is the Duino Explorer, and that's down here. And it does come as a kit, and it's something that, you know, if you love to build stuff, this is for sure for you. The top portion here, this is actually the Model Railroad accessories. So here you see those addressable LEDs, the intelligent ones, the ones that can do 16 million colors. It comes with two of the micro servos, a very loud speaker that connects up to the MP3 player, two blocking sensors, and then a bunch of what are called DuPont wires. So I want to take you into what I call Dr. Duino's labs. I do things a little bit differently than a typical Arduino kit. I don't actually have instructions that are in a PDF form, and I do that on purpose because a lot of my customers, what they really love about this is they say, hey, Guido, one of the steps, I wasn't really sure how that should be. Can you maybe update the instructions? And I will go into the manual and I will update the instructions, which I do very, very often. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen. I'm going to show you the inside of what I call Dr. Duino's labs. And I'm going to show you the two different assembly manuals that belongs to the Model Railroad Edition. So what you see here, this is actually the inside of the build instructions for the Explorer itself. And it starts off with, you know, how to get customer support. By the way, all of my support is USA only. And that's something which is really important to me. I want to have a strong USA only support system. If you don't know how to solder, although I do not think that this crowd, I think you guys all know how to solder very well. There is an instructional video on how to solder with 5 easy steps. But this is where things really get kind of different. So I really like to do things in a highly graphical way. So what you'll see here is, hey, grab your board. These are the parts that you're going to want to use. So these are just buttons. You're going to stick them exactly here. And every single one of the instructions is done the exact same way. So you're going to use these potentiometers and you're going to inject them here. You're going to turn it over. You're going to bend the wires. And along the way, I actually have you, let me just see here. I call this the ATP, or the automatic test procedure. So as you actually build the kit, at the end of it, I have you go through this automatic test procedure. I wrote a special piece of code that will test the board to make sure that everything is fully functional. So these are the instructions for that. And then what I'd like to show you here is the actual model railroad edition. Now I built this in a very specific manner because when I was initially doing this, I thought, oh, maybe some other people might be interested in this. And I teach a lot of STEM courses. And whenever I teach electronics or programming or hardware, whatever it is, I teach them what I call layered learning. So what that means is I will start with the very basics. So here is a block sensor, and this is the kind of the instructions on the block sensor, the parts that you'll use. So these are those blocking sensors, how to actually wire it up to the Explorer. The code is all here, it's all provided, right? And it shows you kind of how it works. There's also then, this is exactly how you test it. And it shows you the codes and the spot of the codes in which maybe you need to make corrections or maybe how to change stuff. And then every single one of the pieces of hardware that I showed you has this thing called theory of operation. And it just goes into a very quick, this is how that specific piece of hardware works in conjunction with your model rail and with the Duino Explorer. But here's where the layered part comes in. So I start you with the block sensor, and then I show you the turnout control, how to do lighting effects. So let me just see if I have. And then finally, I end with this thing called Dr. Duino's Depot. And this is where I'm going to start a video here really quick. Can everybody hear that okay? Cool.
Yeah, yes.
Hi, everyone. Guido here from drduino.com. And I'm here today to show you how I use the Duino Explorer to automate this entire—
You need to turn it up a little bit.
All being exclusively controlled via just the components that you see here labeled 1 through 8. Unfortunately, that's as loud as it goes, so I'll kind of speak over it. I'll turn off the volume and I'll just show you what's happening. So those block sensors, this is where that scene control comes in. So there's a block sensor that sits here at number 1, and the other block sensor is here at number 5. And you'll notice that everything in red, and then I have things that are in this greenish and then one purple out here. The red is actually one scene that will occur when the train hits this blocking sensor, right? And then the scene number 2 will occur only when this block sensor gets tripped. So let me show you what that actually looks like. Sorry, it's a little laggy on my side. So this block sensor actually triggered this turnout. And there's going to be a close-up of that in a second. And again, this is pretty crude. You know, I wouldn't suggest embedding this like this inside of your model railroad, but it's just to give a demo. And then this block sensor, what this is doing is that you see it turns on the lighting over here, and it's actually going to start to move this sign back and forth, which I just thought was kind of a fun touch. And then every other time that this sensor is tripped, it will either activate or not activate this this turnout. So the train will actually take the outside path, and then the next time it'll take the inside path, and it'll just do this forever and ever and ever. Now it is not actually controlling the speed of the train. It's really just controlling the electronics inside, right? So moving of this sign, turning on the lights over here, the music. You can't see it, but there is a railroad crossing LEDs, and I'm actually controlling those individually. But the whole structure of the Dr. Duino labs is it teaches you from, okay, we're going to first do block detection, then we're going to do LEDs, and then the Dr. Duino's Depot entire code set is all of those things stacked together in one giant layer. So it begins, you kind of get this really good understanding of how everything plays together. So bear with me here. Okay, so yeah, that's the layered learning. And the Duino Explorer has been seen actually in tons of different news outlets. It's been in ARRL. I don't know if we have any ham radio folks on the line with us, but ARRL, Make Magazine, Nuts and Bolts, Design News, QST, MRH, and Model Railroader themselves. So that's it. That's kind of what the Dr. Duino Explorer Model Railroad Edition does. I created a custom coupon code for you guys if anybody was interested. If you open a new browser and go to drduino.com/ZoomTRAK, as you fill out this form, this is what you're going to see, and put in ZoomTRAK over there, you'll get another little discount. So that's it. Can I answer any questions for anybody? I know that was probably a bit like taking a drink out of a fire hydrant.
I got a quick one for you.
Sure. What do you got?
This is very interesting. Also an electronics engineer, but I'm terrible at coding. Can you show a little bit of the coding?
Sure.
Excuse me, can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I bought the class about 6 months ago and I haven't touched it. I'm kind of nervous about it. Can I get in touch with you to get me out of this mental block? I bought for trains and you sent me a very nice letter about it. Can I go for your information and reach out to you to get?
Yeah. So all of the support is through Dr. Duino's labs itself. So if you just put in a ticket through the system, that's how we can help you. That's no problem. Just trying to bring up some code here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm from Tallahassee, Florida. I just introduced myself.
Oh, okay. Great. I have a lot of customers from Florida actually.
We know this could be used independent of like DCC++.
Yeah, it's totally not connected.
We're not
to
controlling any engine stuff, right? I can use this all scenery, all track control.
That's correct.
Okay.
Yeah. Let me share. I'm going to share a different screen here. Just
Quick question. If we want to buy more LEDs or any of the components that are in the model railroad kit, are those available through you as well?
So, right now I just sell them as the entire kit. So what I call them is expansion packs, right? So there's the Dr. Duino Explorer, which is, let me just make sure you guys can still see my main screen. I want to, okay. So usually it's just this piece here, right? What makes it the Model Railroad Edition is the expansion pack, which is this. So I do sell the expansion pack separately. I don't right now carry the individual pieces. All of my product is actually shipped from Chicago, Illinois, and it's already prepackaged, so I don't have a way of breaking stuff out. But you can buy additional expansion packs. So let me, okay. So this is, so here's the Model Railroad projects. And this one is the block detector. So this might look a little bit scary, but it's really not. And actually, one other important part to mention is when you use the drduino.com/ZoomTRAK, it's actually also going to come with what I call Dr. Duino's Arduino Bootcamp. And that will show you it'll start you with what is Arduino, all the way through to making your own, I forget what it's called. It's a kind of another project which will allow you to kind of get more get your feet more wet with programming in general. It's a very basic course, but it gives you a really good sense of how the code works. So this is the block detector.
That coding would come with the kit.
Yes.
Basically plug and play once you get it all set up. So then you could go through this coding to kind of help teach yourself too by renaming some things. Like if I didn't want to call it block sensor 2, I wanted to call it Baldy's sensor in the room 1. I could do that. Then I started going through the code, start changing everything, and learning how everything associates.
I like Baldy sensor. Yeah.
Yeah, well, you know.
Follically challenge is what I refer to.
Okay, I get it.
Yeah. So
Guido,
actually,
Guido, this is a great platform, and I'm curious. You mentioned STEM learning. Could you just give us a quick little example of how you've taken this technology, your service, and explained that for science, technology, engineering, and math modules? I'm assuming for the student population. Is that true?
yeah. So this is kind of a weird little story, but it's a fun one. It started with my dog that bit my neighbor, and I was walking my dogs, and one of my little dogs was really protective of me. And I had a new neighbor. I'd never met him before. And he said, "Hey, are you Guido?" And I was like, "Yeah." And I turned around, and before I knew it, my little dog was kind of having her way with my new neighbor's pants. And I was really embarrassed. Anyway, very long story short, we became friendly. And I told him, I was like, hey, thanks for welcoming me to the neighborhood. I've always wanted to teach electronics. It's kind of my way of giving back. I'm actually going to bring up the STEM story in just a second here. And he said, "Oh, I have the perfect students for that. It's my son, my nephew, and one of the other kids that lives in the block with me." So I started teaching them when they were 14 years old. And so I'm still teaching. Actually, we now are starting kind of a different business. I want to teach them everything from kind of engineering through entrepreneurship and beyond, right? So this gentleman right here, Steve, he actually just graduated with his electrical engineering degree. This one, Sean, he's just about to graduate, I think, in another year. And Mason here, he's going to become an electrician. So, and it was all because of this STEM class. I taught them out of my home. So what I was teaching them was, this was one of our very first projects. I was teaching them 3D printing, coding, how to make their own boards. So here is the PC board that we designed. And what this particular project did was using Bluetooth. This is a Bluetooth module. And this chip right here, which is really pretty cool. What this thing does is it listens to audio frequencies and it busts them out into the core frequencies. And what happens is you can tie, the camera doesn't reproduce this really well, but you can tie certain frequencies to different colors of light. So like bass to red and treble to blue and just so on and so forth. There's 7 different bands that you could do. So this was just one of the projects that we did as a STEM course. We meet every week on Thursdays, and we're still doing it, since I started in October 2014 with them.
That's a fantastic explanation. Thank you.
Yeah, sure.
All right. Well,
just one more question. Can you network multiple of these Dr. Duinos together?
You can, but tell me about what you want to do, because oftentimes you don't need to. And I think that's a pretty heavy misconception in the Arduino world. You actually probably don't need to, but if you tell me a little bit about what you're trying to do,
well,
maybe
I might network 2 together just to make it easy to debug. But if you already have existing Arduino or Raspberry Pi connections to DCC and LC and LCC, let's say, and I wanted to communicate between the 2 to create more of an environmental thing using the Dr. Duino. Is there a good way to do that?
All right. So what you would have to do there is do the protocol. You'd have to do the whole DCC protocol inside of the Arduino itself, and then stitch in the code that I provide. And then in theory, you could actually just do it all on one Arduino. Now, the Uno itself, it's probably good enough, right? You can probably get away with it all in one, but I've never messed with DCC myself, so I don't know the overhead that's involved.
No, I would more likely just go and send some sort of message and look for a response between the 2 different systems, since I'm already doing some of the DCC and LCC elsewhere.
Got it. Yeah, I would imagine that you could. I've never tried though, so I'm not sure.
Because this looks like a much easier way for me to automate a module. I have a Christmas scene and a harbor scene thing, and it's all hardwired. This would make it much more exciting.
Sure. Yeah, I get it. Yeah, that was one of the reasons why I wanted to do this. It was like I said, when I first got back into it, I was like, there's really still nothing here that makes this easy.
Okay.
Sorry, one more question. You said that the LEDs that you're using, they're the fancy programmable kind. Are those similar to the kind that come on the strip lights that people use for Christmas these days to automate? Would those be interfaceable somehow?
So the answer to that is yes. There's several different types actually.
Right.
There is a lot of them do, right? But then there are a lot that do not. The ones that the intelligent one are WS2811 or 2812s. Both kind of the same thing. You'll also hear them referred to as 5050s.
Yeah. So if I have rolls of those sitting here in my basement, I can interface to this and do more lighting effects.
Yeah. So
pretty easily.
There's a couple of caveats. So you can do literally hundreds or thousands, right? You'll run into two big problems. The first problem is if you're running hundreds or thousands, you'll run out of memory inside of the Arduino Uno, right? There's ways to mitigate that, and then the other issue is power. And as long as you do a 5-volt drop of power every I forget what it is, it's X number of feet, you'll be able to run however many.
You can always inject in somewhere if you needed to.
That's correct. Yeah.
I got this wild idea for some lighting things for a layout display at a show. So I'm just thinking this would be fun to use a bunch of those sensors and stuff.
Yeah. It's Arduino's awesome. Like it just opens up the doors to so many things.
All right, gentlemen, there are a couple of questions on the chat line. Dave Menard was asking about the coupon code, said the ZoomTRAK isn't working. I think, Brett, that was yours.
He got mine taken care of. I think that's Guido's.
Okay, that's Guido's. Okay.
Yeah, give me a second. Let me just go.
And Dick Ollendorf, you had a question about do you have a DCC module to connect both systems together? Is that?
I do not. My system is totally independent of DCC. It doesn't interact with it at all. You could certainly make it, but that would be on the user.
Okay.
Okay, and there's a question, does viewing the Nrail channel on YouTube require a subscription? And the answer to that, I think, is no, isn't it, Jean-Marc?
That's correct. YouTube is absolutely free to the world. And that is one reason why we delay the replay of this ZoomTRAK until a month later. We want everyone who's a member of Nrail to enjoy the privilege of the information that we get in advance, including this commentary we've just been getting from unique manufacturers. We're literally ahead of the curve. And so we want everyone to encourage your club members, your friends, join Nrail today. It is only $10 for a year. My goodness, the value is going up and up and up. And but YouTube is free, and we are leveraging those free platforms to expand our message as far and wide as we possibly can.
All right. Now, Mark has a question. Does the board interface with the Mega? Guido, you're still here.
Yeah, so it's only Arduino Uno clone, I should say Arduino Uno or Arduino Nano. It doesn't work with the Mega.
Okay. Question, Terry Moore's, is your presentation downloadable? You're muted, Terry.
I had to get to it to turn it on. Well, I have the file, yeah.
Well, if you'll get with Jim Nealand, maybe you could. He's got a. If you go to the chat, maybe you can answer his question about how you can get that from him.
Just a matter of a PM, and then I'll send it to him.
Okay, very good. And Charlie and Terry want to know from Brett how we access your discount. I think you did that once, but can you do it quickly again?
Yeah,
or you already have. You've answered that, haven't you? Okay. All right. I think we're up to date with everything. So I think we've had a good meeting, lots of information. Next month, 4 weeks from now, on Saturday, the 12th of March, again, will be our next meeting, and we will nail down the topics soon, but there will be a full slate of presentations at that time. So we do not have a poll this week. So that being said, I want to thank you all for tuning in, and we will see you all next month. Thanks again, and have a great weekend. Bye-bye.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you, everybody.
Razor, I noted the maximum attendance at 106.
I was busy and didn't catch it, but Bruce has got it. That's good. So glad we're keeping this 104.